What's up, everybody? I'm Miles, your host for Running the Extra Mile, and we're back with another podcast. This time I am joined by a very long friend back from high school and all that, Carson.
What's up, guys?
Carson is an old buddy, as I said. We ran cross country and track throughout my high school year. He's a little bit older than me, but Carson now has kind of shifted gears and kind of one-upped me now with the marathon running. So we're gonna kind of dive into that now and what it's like to do half marathons, full marathons, and kind of like his experience in the world and how to train for it and what obstacles you might find. So Carson, if you want to give a little backstory on how you started doing running and marathons and all?
Yeah, so I would say it started back just from running in high school. Never ran in college, so there was that, I guess 3 or 4 year gap, probably around 2 years. But so after high school, just I guess when you finish high school, you don't really have anything competitively to work on, so that void is kind of needed to be filled. So for me, the easy thing was just to go back to running. So did a bunch of 5Ks, and I can't remember how I really got interested in marathons, but I think I just signed up for it, and I think I was on the verge of either if I didn't get the acceptance in the lottery, I was going to be okay, but if I did, I was just going to train as hard as I could and I guess take the bull by the horns. So.
Yeah, because we did cross country and all that, but I also remember like you were more of you did football. I don't think you did football when I was at East at the time, but you used to. But you also were a wrestler, and that kind of interfered with like cross country and track a bit. And now you're a little bit of a assistant coach with that too. So it's like it's kind of interesting, like how like you, even though you're a runner, it's like you're doing other stuff like now too. So it's kind of cool. It's like I told a friend, it's like we're runners. It's stuck in our blood. Like we're always gonna go back to our roots at some point with it. But again, you said the lottery, and your first one is the Chicago half, or not the marathon or half first? Which one was your first?
First was Chicago Marathon.
The marathon. You went straight into a marathon, not even a half.
Yeah, from 5K to marathon.
Props to you. So yeah, that is intense. So when you got the lottery, like for that, what were you thinking? Like how did your mindset change from a 5K to being like, well, now I got 26 miles to run?
The mindset really switched to how do I even train for it, because it just seemed like a lot at the time. I don't even think I cracked a half marathon before I even got the acceptance letter, so it just felt like a lot. But I was getting into more. I spent the summer going to Washington doing like an internship, so I did a bunch of longer hikes, and I just became interested in seeing how far I can go without stopping. So the acceptance, yeah, I mean, again, I was just kind of, if I get it, I'm going to train hard for it. But if I don't, I'm just going to keep going on the 5Ks and just having fun with that. So shock at first, but just trying to learn and get as much education as possible was the first step.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you for sure did a great time. You dropped 2 hours and 49 minutes and 26 seconds. So it's like for a first marathon, like that's insane. Like most people for their first are like, oh, I just want to finish the race and all that, let alone get under like that 3 hour mark and all. But you also ran it on the same day that the world record was set too. So it's like with you going in there, like what was your expectation time-wise and all that? Like was it just like, oh, I'm just gonna try and finish, or did you have a goal in mind?
I did kind of have a goal. I had an A and B goal. It's actually crazy because it was so far off. I guess my education just wasn't there. So I think basically after all the training runs and the entire summer of training, it felt like under 3 was gonna be possible. But I remember the day before just talking to my fiance Alyssa, and I was like, I don't think 3 is going to be possible. I think it's probably going to be 3:07. And then, come race day, the second half I was able to do a negative split, and it just felt right. And 2:49 was, I guess, in the cards.
Yeah, and I don't blame you. Like that mindset, like every time, like I get up to the race, it's like I've been running for 11 years now. I know the nerves and all that. I know stuff like that is going to be there. Every time you get to that start line and you just immediately start doubting yourself and all that. And I always tell people, I'm like, it's just the mindset is so hard as a runner. It's like the moment you tell yourself you can't do it, your whole body's going to be like, yeah, we can't do it anymore. You're not going to be able to. But the moment that like air horn gun goes off, it's just like it rushes away and you're good. But like when you finish that line, I'm just curious, what did you think when you heard that the world record was set though? Like you had your goal and you were happy with it, but then to hear like, oh, this dude over here just broke the world record for it. What was that kind of?
It was crazy because I mean, I didn't even know Kelvin Kipton before the race. So R.I.P. to him. He did pass away in a car crash shortly after. So we never really got to see how great he could become. But yeah, I was surprised. I didn't think that was gonna be possible. But it was great weather. So not a lot of winds, cloudy, so no sun beating down on you. So I guess the temperature and conditions were possible for it, but yeah, I was surprised. Never knew who Calvin Kipton was before that.
And so, like, now that you kind of, like you mentioned, that the education wasn't really there. Like, once you finished that Chicago marathon, what was kind of like your mindset kind of going forward? Like, what did you were in a sense, like, what did you think you need to do now? Like, what kind of research did you start diving into to learn more? Like, was it something where you're just like, well, I got that part down. Like, what, should I do this now? Like, where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so a lot of the education I've got is just from running. YouTube's crazy. Like, there's a lot of people that you can get to watch and start to learn from them. But that was the step I took. I knew that I needed to ramp up mileage. That was the first step. Second step was adding a day of training on there. Third, I did a little bit of cross training and strength training, but I needed to ramp that up as well. So those were like the big three. And over time, as you start to get your blocks in, naturally you just are able to take on more. So just doing that and getting a chance to, I guess, build that fitness over time.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. For a lot of people, it takes years to build on. So I just knew that was going to be helping me as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're, I guess, like halfway through a year in a sense, almost there, the 5th month, but you're already over like 1,000 miles with running and stuff like that. Like, when, like you said, you ramped up your mileage, like, you're insanely at your mileage stuff, but like, do you have like year end goals where like, I want to hit this mileage, I want to do this, like, just like, is this like not only like a personal goal that you want to hit for mileage, or is this like, if I can get these mileage, this year-round mileage, then I know I can do this on a marathon then?
Well, for this year, I really would love to cross into 3,000. I think I could be close. I might finish 2,800, but that would be the year goal. And then I always have the elevation goal. So last year was like 100K. Just gonna see how far I get, and then the last couple months, I'm gonna figure out what's a competitive finish, I guess.
Yep.
So those are the two goals I usually have going on for a year-by-year basis.
So it's like you did the Chicago Marathon, and then what was next? Was it the Hidden Gem, or was it the Chicago Half? Did you do?
Let's see here. What was it? I think it was Hidden Gem was probably the next, I guess, super competitive race. A couple 5K sprinkled in, but
yeah. So like, I mean, you did a marathon, but now that you had a half, what was kind of? I mean, it's half the mileage, but it's like, what was your kind of mindset? Like, okay, I've been doing research into marathons. Was it kind of like keeping that same mindset of like, I'm building this stuff, but like, I know you got less mileage in a sense, you can go a little bit faster. What's kind of like the mindset compared to a half to a marathon race, like race day preparation? Like, how do you prepare mentally for, okay, I only got half to go today, versus a marathon where you're like, okay, now I got 2 halves to do?
Yeah, half, I guess it can kind of seem like it's less daunting, but for me, you have enough time in a marathon where the first few miles you can go out really slow and then kind of get your footing and speed up and negative split. Whereas the half, you kind of have less time to make those adjustments. So for me, I think I don't know, I almost think halves are a little bit harder.
Yeah, I guess I haven't done a marathon yet. I'm being in a cross country season. My coach is just like, yeah, can't do a marathon. That's gonna no recovery time for that. But half marathons, I did one last year, and like you said, halves are for sure. I've only done one. I've done a few on my own, but I remember, like I said, that air horn went off, and I knew I was like, okay, I got this pace in mind. I know I can do this. I can run this time. It was just like the flock of people running and the adrenaline. I just went out I went really fast. I was like I luckily was able to maintain a pace and bring it back and hold it. But I just remember like getting to that 5K mark and being like, oh, I just shot myself in the foot. I went way too fast. Like, I got 10 more miles to do this. Like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, you can click them off, but yeah, definitely halves are hard because you're going to go at a faster pace. It's easier for
because yeah,
fizzle out.
you ran that hidden gem in an hour 15 at a 5:44 mile pace, which is pretty impressive to do that. I'm like, oh, I'm like, I think mine was like 6:20 was my like average pace. So your first half to like crush me and you would just be gone. I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive. So it's like, that's pretty nice. So from there, you started, I guess, researching and stuff like that. And then, what was the next race for marathon that you wanted? Did you do the Milwaukee one or was it the New York next?
New York was next.
New York
yeah,
was
that
next.
was the second marathon. And then Hidden Gem was kind of like the big training run that led into that.
So yeah, so like kind of that New York one, yeah. What kind of mindset did you have into that? Because I kind of remember talking with you. You were like, "Oh, this is the New York one. It's one of the top big ones around the world and all that. It's one of the ones that allowed you to get a time you could potentially get into Boston." So it's like, what was your overall mindset and goal going into this New York marathon?
Yeah, that one was a tough one because the time that I was training for it had a little bit more to do with wrestling, coaching that in the summer. So it was more so just kind of whatever time I finished at. But then towards the end of the block, I reeled in on a time I wanted to do. I wanted to get below sub 2:45. The atmosphere was crazy. The first bridge is almost like you're kind of crossing into a movie scene.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a chance to, that bridge, you don't get a chance to walk on or run on, like it's purely just a driving bridge.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a chance to see that and going slow on it and being able to see all the runners, that was a great experience.
Yeah, and again, like the Chicago one was like the lottery to get in. For the New York one, though, you ran for a charity, the Children's Heart Foundation. How did you kind of find them and kind of what was your experience doing that? Because I know a ton of half marathon runners and marathon runners, like they run competitively, like you do it competitively, but I also know like, well, this was an opportunity for you to do something good in life, and a lot of people do that where they're like, oh, I run these because I'm helping charity, I'm helping life. So how did you kind of come across them and got connected with that?
Yeah, so I won't lie, I didn't have the time to enter the race, so or I did, but there was like a further cutoff or something like that. New York's definitely the hardest marathon to get into, so I wasn't able to get in just based off a guaranteed entry. So I really juggled on if I still wanted to do it. Then I thought I could turn my loss into a gain and enter a charity, and I just started thinking. So I worked for the Park District and I coach wrestling, so I wanted to do something around kids and helping them. So naturally I fell into the Kids Heart Foundation. That was one of the ones that was based around kids in a way where I could help them. Mm-hmm. And just another challenge that, I think a lot of times a lot of marathoners do it because it's a challenge and they can keep sharpening their knife. New experiences. This for me was another experience and a good experience where I could help out children around the U.S. and just was able to do that, and another good thing.
I know, yeah. I mean, you raised over, or you got to, or you raised over. I looked at it and I couldn't remember the number, but I got it written down, like 3,500. Like you raised a decent amount. And I remember you had so many like little raffles stuff with that. You had plenty of people backing not only you for like the running, but also just the cause. And I'll make sure to find the link to their website and all that and put it down if anyone is interested in looking into this, because that's something that I've always been interested in trying to do too, running for charities and stuff like that. It's always something nice to do as a runner, because it's like your ability to do something is a win for not only yourself, but for someone in life that sadly can't do what you're able to do. But I mean, you finished, like you did a great thing with the charity. You finished, you placed 578th place out of 55,524 people. So kind of crossing that finish line, what was the mindset of that when you finished? Like,
well, I was definitely ready to be done. The bridges are crazy, so it's a lot of elevation gain just based off that. So the last 3 miles was basically I'm just trying to finish. So I was happy just to be able to finish, but just getting another PR that felt really good. And honestly, the race becomes secondary. you're not really doing it for yourself. You're doing it for charity. I didn't get a chance to wear their singlet. They actually forgot to send it out on time, but they were a great charity, and it just feels like you're doing it for them, and you want to finish the time that's best as possible to represent them. So it was just great to cap it off with a PR and raise the charity money and just have a great experience with it.
That's a nice thing. And so like we finished the New York, and like I said, it's one of the big ones and kind of like a race that people do to set a time to try and qualify for Boston. Like was the Boston Marathon always once you started running marathon, was that always like a goal for you? You were like, oh, I'm gonna eventually do the Boston Marathon? Or was it kind of like throughout your training and like research, was it something where you're like, you know what, Boston's available, like is a possibility now? Like was it always there, or was it slowly gained in your mindset you could do it?
Yeah, it gained in my mindset because after Chicago, I had a time that qualified me for Boston. So pretty much it was under 3 hours you get qualified for Boston. But so many people apply with that qualified time, they do a further cut down. Realistically, it's usually around like 5 to 7 minutes. So I had that 3-minute buffer. But even after finishing, I didn't know that I had qualified for Boston or had a Boston qualifying time. People knew that I finished the race, after posting about it, and they came to me and they basically were like, you have to go to Boston now. You have to do Boston.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where my interest came from.
Yep. So Boston was not too long ago, and of course you set another PR, your overall marathon PR now of 2 hours, 43 minutes and 5 seconds, which was a 39-second PR. And to non-runners, while that time, like that little few seconds may not seem big, as a runner, that is a big gap actually on a course. Like that is insane to do. So kind of walk through what your training looked like for the Boston and up to race day.
Yeah, so this being my third marathon, pretty much at this point, I'm obviously not an expert, but like I know what to expect of myself. I know my body, I know what I should be training at as far as mileage. So pretty much what it looked like is every single time I do a block, it's around 16 to 17 weeks, full weeks of training. This time around was 6 days a week, pretty much 15 out of the 17 weeks that I did. Mileage looked around to be on average probably 70, topped out at like 83, 80s a few times, but that was the training. And the tough part about this was it was during the actual winter season, so you're running in at like 7, or I had wrestling practice from 6 to 7:30. I didn't have enough time after work to get in an hour running, so I couldn't do 5 to 6, so I had to do basically like 8 p.m. runs or like 7:45 runs, so I'd be running till like 9 p.m. at night. So it wasn't a great training time. So it was finally nice when you get to the actual race day and it's finally spring. All the hard work goes onto the course and you're able to show out a little bit. So
yeah, I totally hear you with that time. Like you have so much like stuff in the way, and sometimes you're like, do I want to wake up and run early in the morning, or do I want to do a night run and all that? And it's like, I will admit our city's not the safest to do any time of the day running, really. It has its better times, but I remember one time we were running and it was during the winter time, and so the sun sets a lot sooner and all that, and I was running with Los Lobos, and we were kind of just cruising along the river having fun chatting, and you kind of see a light up ahead coming towards you, and you just went right by, like working out, and we were just like, wait, was that Carson? And sure enough, like after Strava, you were like flying by, and we were like, oh, there's Carson, must be training.
Yeah, I remember seeing you guys a couple times, but yeah, it's just tough anytime in the winter. You don't got much daylight. It gets dark before 5, so it's like, either way, you're running in the dark. So.
And so you've been doing a lot of self-training and stuff like that, and it's paid off and it's done a great thing, and like it's awesome how you're doing that, and there are people out there that struggle to do it themselves. Would you ever consider hiring a coach though, or something like that? Someone that actually does this year round for coaching, or do you kind of prefer doing your own little thing on the side?
Yeah, I'm fine with doing it alone, especially where I'm at now. The difference between year one block where everything is experiment, like everything is new, where this time it's basically I'm I'm at my 4th block now for my upcoming marathon. Everything will just be refining, but there is experts in the field, and definitely I would be interested in having a coach. But a lot of times you see the training plans, and it's basically like you'll have a coach that just prescribes workouts for everyone, and I think every athlete's different. So I would definitely want a coach that you can at least jump on the phone with them, tell them how the workout went, and they can look at your times and they can evaluate the expectations for you, because a one-size-fits-all plan, which a lot of them are, I don't know. I don't think it would. I think it works for some people, but I think where I'm at would definitely benefit to have a case by case. And
yeah, and I totally get how you feel, because our coach here at Rock University, it's like, while there is the overall team and overall, like, this is where I have goals for, like, the team overall, both men and women, he breaks it down individually. There's a few of us that run together, and then there's the second group and all that, and like we're all pretty nicely kind of grouped around to where he's like, well, I'm going to focus on these paces, these workouts, these distance times for these people done differently. But if someone needs to individually in that section shift up because they're like busy with work or kind of dealing with a little bit of injury, stress, something like that, or just can't really get the time in, he's like, oh yeah, we will for sure like individually like shift it. Because I remember there was one time where I was just drained, like I was mentally drained and all that, and I came to him and I'm like, hey, like I know this is an important time to be running and stuff like that, but I'm like, I just don't have the energy, my body's not really there, like can we kind of shift it around a little bit for me? And he's like, yeah, for sure. And like he shifted and it worked out perfect for me. So it's like it's kind of hard to find coaches that are like that, because there are a bunch that are like, no, you're paying me to do my thing, like don't come and tell me what to do, like I'm the coach, you're the athlete. Like it kind of sucks, but I mean, like you've done so much research and stuff like that. But Boston's done. What's the future kind of look like after Boston? Like, are you looking to continue running Boston every once in a while, or is there now a bigger marathon ahead, like the London one or something like that, World one, like something like that?
Yeah, it's kind of all up in the air. Boston, that is the best city I've been to, so I would definitely recommend going out there. I would like to do that every once in a while. It becomes expensive though to like make a trip around it, but yes, I would love to do that in the future. But Chicago is upcoming again. I think I'm gonna keep running that every year because it's right in our backyard, so I don't have to plan for travel, and don't have to plan a trip around it. I have to make everyone go on my marathon vacation trip. So I'm gonna do that every year. I think once you do it 5 out of 10 years, you're like a legacy finisher, so you automatically can get in without having to post a qualifying time. So that would be the first step. The 7 stars, so basically Chicago, New York, and Boston, those are U.S. major marathons. There's 7 around the entire world. Sydney is the newest one they added. You got Tokyo, London, and then Berlin, I think, is the last one. So I would like to do that, but again, it's a lot of money. Some of them you have to have some crazy times. I think that I would be able to get in, but it's just kind of up in the air for right now.
Yeah, and that's totally like understanding, like races get expensive. People think runners, it's like, oh, you just run. It's like, it's not that expensive. It's like, yeah, no, but our shoes are like $150, our gear adds up, like expenses to get places, nutrition, stuff like that. Like race entry fees, protection fees, stuff like that. Like it adds up and people don't realize it. So, and like that's one struggle with me with running right now, where I'm like, well, I'm just gonna try and do what's local and stuff like that. And even some of the local races, I'm like, you're priced at that? Like what?
Yeah, I know. Like the major marathons are $350 to get in. Halves are like 125. Honestly, I was doing the math, and if you think about the shoes, like you mentioned, for 1,000 miles, I'm going through probably at least 2 pairs of shoes, probably averaging about 500 on each, which that even might be a lot. So there's 300
I mean, that's
bucks.
pushing the limit on most shoes, especially as a marathon runner. Like I working at Fleet Feet, people constantly ask me like, oh, what's the life expectancy of a shoe? I'm like, sadly, only 250 to like 500, 250 being the more extreme runner. And sure enough, there are a few pairs of shoes where I've gotten them. They're amazing. I hit that 250 mark and I'm just like, dang it, these hurt to be on now.
Yeah,
like I already have to buy a new one, and it's only been like 3 months. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, so I mean, like this year, if I run 3,000 miles, it's $900 worth of shoes. So it seems like a cheap sport, but it's kind of crazy.
So we kind of talked about the training. We've talked about some of the races that you've done, some of the future ones that you want to do. But what are some of like the struggles and obstacles that you've kind of noticed as a marathon runner?
Yeah, it's just building your lifestyle around it. That is the toughest one. For mileage, for me, I'm at least on the lightest day, I'm out there for an hour. At the most extreme, couple hours. 2 hours and 20 minutes for a training run. So, trying to build your lifestyle around it. Just got a new puppy the other day, so it's like
He's so cute.
yeah, for sure. Having a fiance too, you just gotta plan things around. I always said that 50 miles is pretty comfortable. Like that's a fun week. 60, you kind of got to plan around it. 70 is just that becomes like you're after work. That's what you're doing. Anything over that is just it's hard to plan for. But that's the main struggle. Personally, for me, this winter was a huge struggle for me because I'm coaching wrestling. Like I said, getting done at 7:30, 3 days a week, and then coaching on the weekends a full day. Sometimes 2 days a week. You're just having limited opportunities to get those long runs and get those training runs in. So those are the major obstacles.
Yeah, and you mentioned fiance. Like, congratulations on that stuff. Like, if you guys have been together for so long that I would have been so sad to see it end. But what is her kind of mindset? Like, when it comes to you as a runner, like, did she? What was her mindset getting into this as together? Like, kind of, what did she think about it?
Yeah, at first she still is very supportive. But my first block when I knew nothing and I was like, dang, I don't even know if I could do this. Just super supportive, always the rock. Now it's kind of a joke, right? Like, she definitely. She's definitely supportive of me going out there and getting my training runs in, but it's like a joke. It's like, oh, you're gonna be home at 9 p.m. tonight? Like, it's a little bit of a fun little jab there, but she's definitely cool with it. She's always giving me my gels and making sure I don't run out, and just now it's almost like she's like a running wife now. Like, she knows what to expect, and it's always able to support me. Sometimes she's biking next to me every once in a while. So yeah, she does a lot, man. I mean, there's times where I'm coming home at 9:30 to cook dinner. It's kind of crazy, and it might be too late for her to eat, so she's getting it down ready for us and taking care of our dog right now, where I have to do some runs after work. She's stepping up, so she's always been there, and always picking up what I can't. So.
Yeah, because I mean, like, the first guy that I interviewed on here, Nick, that was the same question I asked for him. I'm like, what does your wife think of you being a runner? And he's like, she's used to it at this point. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go for a run and just disappear for a while. It's like, that's one thing with my family. Like, no one really in my family is a runner, so like, I'll be like, hey, I'm going for a run, and then I'm gone for like 40 minutes, and they're like, how far are you? Like, you okay? And I was like, yeah, I was on a run. I'm okay. And they're like, I tell them the times and like that, and they're just like, what? But
why do you do this?
It's like it's super supportive, and like that's the great thing, because like I said, mindset is such a hard thing, and having that like stone and like supportive person in your life that's gonna be like there to help you is great to have. And it's great that they're there to push you, because I remember like on one of your Stravas, I can't remember if it was New York or Boston, you like shouted out, like she ended up running like 2 miles herself to like cheer you on.
Yeah, I think that might have been Hidden Gem.
It was one of them.
Yeah, she literally ran in between, because the course kind of goes, it's like a big loop, right? And a lot of cut throughs you can get through. So she pretty much ran 2 miles of her own that day, just covering the spots where, I could see her on the course about 4 or 5 times or so. So yeah, but and then all the marathons too, a lot of times she's taken trains and jumping around course just so I can see her a couple times on the marathon courses. So the dedication's crazy, and a lot of she's starting to run a little bit too, where she's done some local races, so she's kind of leaning into I guess the runner mindset a little bit herself. So it's just cool to see her have an interest in something that I like so much, and just basically doing it because I do it and trying to find something that we can, I guess, talk about and bond over too.
Yeah. So it's like we kind of cover that stuff. I kind of want to shift back over to the future of running again because Chicago Half is in 2 weeks, basically, like a week and a half at this point now, and we're both running it this year. I got into it this year, which I'm so happy about and grateful to have that. And I remember like when we were messaging and talking about trying to get a time to schedule to do this, you're a little nervous for it. So like, is that just because you've been training a lot, and like you're just a little pooped out, or is it like?
Well, so pretty much the thought with that is really the only reason I'm doing it is because I want to get into that legacy for Chicago Marathon, where if you finish 5 out of 10 years, you just automatically get it.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to do that every year just for the experience. Like there might be some years where I don't even want to race it competitively, but just do it just to do it. One of the ways you can get into the Chicago Marathon without qualifying, without a qualifying time, is if you just do the Shamrock, the Chicago Half, and the marathon and finish them all. Then your next year is a guaranteed entry into the marathon race.
Mm.
So that's kind of the mindset behind it. That's why I signed up for the half. But I had another thought with it too, is right when I get done with the Chicago Half, I'll be basically into the Chicago Marathon training block. I wanted to start off the block strong and basically start from a higher fitness level than I guess where I would start without doing the half. So I guess it's just kind of daunting, where I took about a couple weeks off. I thought I would have more fitness just coming off the Boston Marathon, but time has came and passed, and just getting back into it again. I'm a little bit off, but I think just finishing it, and even if I get a time that I'm not super happy with, I think it'll be a good footing for getting into the Chicago Marathon training block.
Because I'm looking forward to it. I was like, when I got the opportunity to get into it and do that, I'm like, okay, this is such a bigger one. Adrenaline's going to be there. But then I was like, ooh, Carson's going to hopefully be there. I'm like, I'm going to just latch on to him and just pull and see what I can drop with that, because I'm excited for that too. And Chicago is for sure something in mind for me too, eventually at some point. And then eventually Boston is like, as like right at the get-go as a runner, like Boston was like, I'm going to eventually run a marathon. And it was that. And then eventually I was like, I'm going to run the Boston eventually. And it's like, it's amazing, like the amount of like steps that it takes to get there though. Like I've been a runner, I've done assistant coaching and stuff I've had the collapsed lung. It's like, people don't realize like every sport has its steps to get somewhere and its fallbacks. And it's amazing like the dedication that it takes for a runner to be like, one day could just ruin a whole training block almost for us. And it's just like insane. But where do we go from here now? Trying to figure out what I want to talk about. We're going,
one thing I can bring up, you mentioned, you kind of wanted to do, you got your eyes on a marathon at some point. I really do think that everyone should at least keep their mind open to doing one, because I think a lot of us are capable. The training can be a lot, but I think anyone can walk it at the very least. I think it's an experience that no one can ever really take away from you. It doesn't really matter how you finish if you have some crazy time. It's just kind of cool seeing, there's so many people that come to Chicago just to support you. Fans line the street. It's just an experience that can't really be duplicated. So I definitely encourage a lot of people to do it. It doesn't take a lot. 4 days a week, consistent training. Even if it's at your own pace, your own mileage, I think that could really make it possible for a lot of people to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I guess something that I kind of, again, we were talking about coaches and stuff like that. Do you ever maybe see yourself becoming a marathon coach or something like that? Doing more research, maybe giving it a try, something like that? Like even if it's for like a friend or something like that, if someone's come to you just like, hey, if you can help me a little bit, like, or do you see it as something where you're like, oh, maybe I could do this as a side career?
Yeah, I definitely want to do it. I think it's fairly not easy, but I think it's possible to do a custom training plan for people, and especially if they're my friends, and if I already have a background of what their running is like and what their times are like, I think it'd be pretty doable to set them up on a training plan. I definitely want to do it. want to get a couple more goes underneath my belt before I even think about it. The other part too is just where we're at in Rockford as a community. I hope that there becomes more marathon runners. We got a few right now, but I think it would depend. If we had a lot of people in Rockford that are looking for like a customized plan, that would make me more, I guess, wanting to do it, wanting to step in and take part in that. But
yeah, it sucks because like Rockford actually has a giant community of runners, even though it might not be seen. The one problem is just that a lot of the fun local races that we had just don't get the funding anymore, and they disappear, and you're just like, it kind of sucks because that kind of pushes runners away from running. They just start training for stuff and don't really have any races to do and stuff. And it's cool. It's like coaching has always been something for me too, and it's like it's just fun being able to be that person where not only are you doing something in life that finds you happiness, but it also you're seeing someone else accomplish a goal that they might never have thought they could have done, or were like, oh, this was never expected in my life and now I'm doing it. Like that just brings joy, because that was what was for me as an assistant coach for high school. It's like I did it 4 years, and while some of the kids may have been a little annoying and like that, it's like you had that one kid that was just like always happy to be on the start line, always grateful for like the help and all that you gave them, and when they finished with a PR, it's like seeing the joy in them is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, every single time I finish any type of race or block, my mind just goes to Coach Shrek. I mean, he is the reason that I am running, and he's the one that got me started in 6th grade, that never stopped trying to get me out for cross country until my senior year. So a coach can definitely make or break an experience for you. So yeah, it's a very rewarding thing. I would love to do it if I had the chance to do it. The community is already there, and I can, if there's a need for it.
Yeah. So kind of wrapping this all up, like what kind of advice do you have for anyone that's kind of struggling to get on this track of doing a marathon, or just running in general, like the distance that you're doing? Like what kind of advice do you have for them?
Sure. So I talked a lot about like the actual training block of a marathon. Really before that too, if before you even start your 16-week block or whatever it is, if you can just develop a consistent schedule, 3 to 4 days, if that first looks like running, walking, or just even running until you get a chance to feel comfortable to run, I think that's the best way to start. Just putting yourself on a schedule where, hey, I'm going to run 3 days a week. Eventually I can work to 4 days. If I feel comfortable, I can do 5. It just has to be consistent. You can't really go a week without missing any training runs and then trying to work your way into it. You just gotta make it comfortable. You gotta make it a habit where you're just knowing that this is what to expect. You're coming out here for today to run. You just feel more comfortable with it. Eventually it becomes easy enough where you can develop an easy pace and you can actually have a little bit of fun out there. I know for some people it's like, running fun? No, that's not going to be possible, but it can be fun if you settle into an easy pace, get some buddies around you, and have fun and run, I guess, chat.
Yeah. Well, I think that wraps it up for today with this kind of fun talking to marathon. It's nice to finally sit down and do that, because I know there's so many people that I know that are like, they run marathons and all that, but they don't really know the mindset into it, and you were one that started doing research deeply into it and stuff. So that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of Running the Extra Mile. Thank you again, Carson, for doing this. Make sure to check me out on social media, hit the like and subscribe button, and check out Children's Heart Foundation. Link will be in the bio, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple local races in the Chicagoland area that you could be a part of and fundraise for them. So yeah, check them out.
Yep. I'll catch you guys in the next episode.